So you're world's fastest gamer. That must have been a really exciting time of your life.
Yeah, massively, man. At the time, it was Jensen Button's team in a McLaren GT3 with Michael O'Brien.
That's like madness.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the next year, there's no racing.
It said $1 million drive. There's no way they spent $1 million. And so I thought, maybe they're going to put another bit of cash into next year. Came to the end of the year and it was, I don't think I really spoke to them again, to be honest.
You've had races against Verstappen. Obviously, you know he's like an absolute robot.
Because I've raced him on R Factor 2 in the Le Mans series. I think if he was like full-time sim racer, he'd be...
Hi kids, welcome back to Backseat Drivers Podcast. Today we have world's fastest gamer, James Baldwin.
He tells us what it's like going from a simulator to racing a GT3 McLaren around Spa.
What it takes to get to the top of sim racing.
And what it was like to go head-to-head with Max Verstappen on the simulator.
Enjoy the episode.
Mr. James Baldwin,
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the best podcast in the world. How does it feel?
Well, it's an honour. And what a space you've got here.
James has actually been the only one that's been the first person to be really baffled by all the stuff in here.
What, do the other people just walk in as if this is totally like normal?
It's a lot of random
I
stuff.
think we need to overlay some shots of some of the because
Yeah.
you don't see how weird this room is on camera.
Yeah.
It's really really weird.
Everything's balancing on like a cardboard box.
Your mic, don't move it too much, by the way.
I can't help but not look at the massive shark teeth behind your heads. Like,
One day those will come down. They'll kill us.
Yeah, there's going to be on the news, Brackley News, 2 podcast hosts killed
Exactly.
by
I don't even know what that is.
By shark teeth.
I think it's a shark.
In Brackley.
Yeah, it's one of those sharks that has that really long nose. No.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know the one? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Right, a bit off topic already.
Yeah.
Right, first thing we wanted to discuss, obviously, you're a sim to reality, kind of back to sim now guy, right?
Yeah.
So what we want to hit first is you were world's fastest gamer.
Yeah.
Explain what that is, what it takes to be there, and how you did it.
World's Fastest Gamer was a competition in 2019. They also did one in 2018. So they've done 2 of them, and effectively at the time it was like the best sim racers around. They would invite them all for a competition, and the prize was a race in real life for a season in GTs. And yeah, in the year I did it, the second rendition of it, I won it. There was some quite familiar names in sim racing doing it. So like Max Benecke, Sebastian Job, Mitchell de Jong, a few others. And yeah, so they had it was like a judging thing. So you went through like real life tests in small touring cars, you did fitness tests, media tests. And then at the end of it, the judge was Juan Pablo Montoya, and he would announce a winner. And I was a winner. So I got a season in British GT the following year because of that.
Was it just like a one-day shootout thing, or was it like a champion? Do you know what I mean?
It was a 2-week competition in the States, the west side of America, so literally up and down California. And yeah, just as I say, doing a test day here, doing a fitness test the next day, then a race, and then a sim race, and just so they could sort of see who was the best overall package as a driver.
And how did you enter it?
I believe at the time it was 8 invite only,
Okay.
and then there was 2 qualification spots. I think a guy called Riley, he qualified on the iPad. So there was a sim racing game on the iPad, and he was the best at that particular game.
Really?
So
way.
Serious?
but yeah, a lot of us were like hardcore sim guys, actual sim setups and stuff.
Surely that bloke's at a disadvantage.
Do you know what he did? I think he finished like 6th.
Really?
He didn't
never
come
pressed
last.
a
Out of how
pedal.
many?
Never pressed a
10.
brake pedal in his life.
Yeah.
just happens.
Just trying to thumb the steering wheel.
Proper couch to race car story, that one, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
great with his fingers.
Mate, let's keep it PG.
It is PG.
Is
But he
it?
probably is good with his fingers.
All right. Anyway. So, right. I want to get into it. So before this, though, so years ago, you actually did a bit of racing. So before,
Yeah.
a lot of people will know you from the sim racing you've done, but you've also done proper GT racing, not just British GT, but also Spa 24, which we'll get into.
Yep.
But before that, you did a bit of racing and then stopped, went into sims.
Yes.
So why? Obviously, we probably know the reason, but for people to understand, why did you stop racing after? I think it was Formula Ford you did,
Yeah.
and go into Sims. What was the reason? For
It wasn't a great career, if you want to call it that. I mean, I started karting at the age of 8, but we only did like rental karts, so like your Club 100 sort of equivalent, that stuff. We never did like proper owner karting. And then at the age of like 16, 17, my dad had saved up enough money to do 2 Formula Ford races, which I think, being truthful, I think it was like $4,000 a weekend. Formula Ford 1600.
Which is actually quite cheap.
for racing?
Oh, racing,
terms?
well
For
cheap, isn't
cars,
it?
yeah. Very cheap.
But that was all we could afford. So we did those 2 races. Naturally, I did all right, but nothing's going to come of that, if you know what I mean. So after that stopped, and that was sort of the first part of my career done. I had like 8 years of experience in rental karts, and then the Formula Ford stuff at the end. But we just ran out of money.
Yeah.
So we had to stop. And that was it. As far as racing was concerned, I was like, right, that's that done. I'll go and get a normal job. And then obviously sim racing came in later, which sort of reignited it a bit. So, yeah.
And then so years later, so you go into, what kind of sim did you get when you first went into it? Was it a pretty kind of cheap setup? Was it good?
Yeah, massively, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a gaming event in 2018, and there was a sim racing booth there. I think it was, it was the McLaren World's Fastest Gamer Season 1 qualifiers. So I went on there, went on the rig, had a go. I was decent. I made the final. I lost in the final, but it gave me like I didn't even know what sim racing was until that happened.
Yeah.
So then I went home and went to I think it was PC World, and got like a real cheap Logitech wheel and pedal set. Just mounted it on my desk at home, and then in the evening, so I was working as like an engineer, making a machinist, so making parts for airplanes and stuff. So I come home in the evenings and just practice away really. So I'd literally wake up, work, come home, sim race very casually. I didn't think anything would really come of that. There was no goal to be a racing driver or anything. It was purely for fun. And then over time got better at it, and competitions started coming out. I then soon realised you could join a team, so I joined a team, which you find teammates and they make you better and stuff. So I fell in. The sim racing thing was like an accident, really. It didn't at the time. It wasn't really a thing. I just did it for fun, basically.
Were you aware that could lead to
No,
the real world?
no chance. I mean, I think at the time I'd heard of Jan Mardenborough, obviously, who'd done it back in the day with GT Academy, but I didn't think anything would come of it, really.
And then when you start taking the sim seriously, just give us an idea of, now obviously you've raced professionally, sim racing, esports, etc. How much time does it take to get to the top level of, because these boys, the one thing that's different with sim racing that people might not understand, sim racing to real racing, one is the expense, but in real racing, the reason expense matters so much, and if you've got loads of funding, you tend to have a way better go at it, is because you can practice way more if you have more money. Whereas sim, you just buy the sim and you can practice as much as you want. So it's more about discipline on the sim, whereas real racing is kind of you either have talent or you don't, and you either have funding or you don't. So how much time has to go into being at the top level of sim racing?
It's more now than it used to be. So when I first got into it in 2018, it probably was, I think the top guys maybe were doing a full day's work, 8 hours a day sort of thing. It fluctuates a lot as well. Some people can just grind it out for 12 hours a day, which I think is nuts. Some people do 10 races on iRacing every day, so just race, break, and they just do that for 12 hours.
Wow.
After about 3 or 4 hours, I'm done. I just can't do anymore. I just get slower. But during some of the hardcore esports stuff, like F1 esports or some of the Ren Sport stuff, I've been on for 8-10 hours a day at times, just to grind it out. Because it's not at that level, it's almost not driving. It's a lot of it's muscle memory, and you're not really adapting to anything. It's the same grip, it's the same conditions, the same car. You have exactly the same braking point every lap. It's just more repetition, which to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of. But
Going back to joining a team, for example, so when you were first getting into it, how did you find a esports team or teammates? Because we get questions a lot sometimes, like how do I start racing? Not just in reality, but also esports, right? It's sometimes not so clear on what you actually need to do.
Yeah,
did you find you naturally, because you were just in it all the time, you naturally found the people that you need to be with, or what was your process?
Yeah, I think I just sort of raced people online, then messaged them, whatever, on Discord or whatever. Started speaking to them, and then that's someone in the community and then from there you end up meeting someone else, and eventually you meet someone who's in a team, so you ask them about that. You join a community team or something, and then you start to get quicker, and then, if you get really good on a given sim title, like say iRacing or Assetto Corsa, you'll soon get noticed by sort of higher level teams, and eventually, if you keep on working your way up the ladder, you're gonna be on the radars of esports teams, and that's when you're in the conversation of getting paid and being a professional. So, and then you do esports tournaments from there, and then eventually, if you're doing some of those, you could even end up racing in real life.
Yeah.
If the competition has a prize of a season of GT racing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it makes sense that people have to grind it out more now, because there's a stat that we're looking to. It's growing 15% every year.
Sim
compounding,
racing.
Yeah, it's growing rapidly, and
Yeah.
COVID accelerated it. Like as soon as
massively,
COVID happened,
Yeah.
everyone's at home, and that's the most enjoyable sim racing I've ever done. Because
in COVID,
yeah, I really enjoyed it. And you did some good races that you did, Le Mans, etc. I think it was Veloce, was it you were with?
Veloce, yeah.
But
It's definitely harder now though, because as you say, it's just saturated now. Like people have seen other sim racers go in a real car, or they've seen other sim racers earn decent money and prize money. So not everyone, but a lot more people want to do it. So the level is just really high now.
Yeah.
And is it worth, like, you don't have to give us an absolute like figure on exactly what you got paid or whatever, but for the amount of hours you're putting in, and also the level you're performing at, like, this isn't just like a normal 9-to-5 job. There's lots of pressure involved. There's so much time involved, and you are, although some people might not call it athlete because it's sitting on a simulator, but it is like you are at the elite level of a version of the sport. Do you know what I mean? So is it a reality? I know you get paid, but is it like something you can actually make a living from, esports?
It is at the top level, yeah. I think the highest I've heard other people get paid, it might be rumours, but I think it's pretty bang on. I think there's been a few drivers who have been paid over sort of 100k a year.
Really?
From a esports team?
I think so, yeah.
That's before sponsorships, maybe.
That's before, sponsorship. If they do YouTube, Twitch, other, prize money. If you win prize money, obviously teams do take a cut of prize money. It depends on the deal you've got with the team, as to how much they take. But you can, at the top level, earn decent money. If you converted it to how many laps per pound, it's probably an awful ratio, because you have to do thousands of laps. So it's a lot of work, but it's not really like your normal work, though, is it? It's
sure. Passion, isn't it, as well?
Sort of, yeah. So, but it's there's not much depth to that. So, like, the guys who aren't at the top level won't really be earning much money at all, if any.
Got you.
It's a very slippery slope. At the top they might be earning a decent wedge, but then after that it's just.
Also, you can't slip with the amount of hours you put in. As soon as you do that, you're outside that top 0.1%, aren't you? So you got to grind all the time.
Yeah, and as you said, the pressure. If that's your main way of living, then you've got one lap in qualifying. If you have one bad race, it's okay. But if you have 2 or 3, your team get on your back, and then it starts to just not be enjoyable, because it's just all those hours coming down to one lap is just not nice. But
is it not draining as well? Because sitting, you imagine a lot of people don't like their office jobs where they're sitting at an office and at least they can get up for their lunch break and go outside and whatever. Sitting on a sim for 8 hours a day is literally stuck in the same position.
But you're allowed to get up.
I know you're allowed to. I know you're allowed to get up. You don't just sit there and like your own feces and stuff. But
I'd do that.
You are like.
Have you seen those modifications of rigs where they've got a toilet under?
No way.
Surely they
is that a thing?
I hope not.
Is that a thing?
Yeah,
Is it?
I hope
You
not.
would know.
Well, I don't know. No. I've never done that.
12 hours a day.
He does it in the seat.
So yeah. Anyway, sorry.
But like sunny day like today, I'm assuming like when you're, or at least when you were doing like full-time esports, it's just, is it not jarring sat there with,
mate, it's soul destroying.
yeah.
There's no two ways about it. It's like at the level of like F1 esports or Rennsport or your proper sweaty series. You'd be hard pressed to find a driver that really enjoys doing every day of practice. Like I wish, a lot of us say, I wish there was a limit on how much practice you could do. If the games had like a limit and that you get say 40 hours,
yeah,
and then it just stops you. Obviously, they can't really police
It's so
that.
hard to
but
police.
yeah.
Isn't it?
It's almost,
you just make another account or something. But
Yeah.
that's the main negative, I think, of sim racing esports. Is just the grind.
yeah.
It's the same with like, they've tried to do that with FIA, F3 and F2 as well, but the problem is they'll just go, like if they've got enough money, they'll go and test in another F3 car or race in another F3 championship or F2 championship,
Yeah.
or GP2 car or
Yeah.
something like that.
Same sort of thing. Yeah.
Let's talk about your first year in cars. So you're world's fastest gamer. Huge headline.
Can we-
to
yeah.
have that.
It's got a
Like,
statement,
that
innit?
that
Yeah.
must have been a really exciting time of your life.
Yeah, massively, man. Yeah. It was meant to be GT World Challenge the following year, but because of COVID and stuff, it would just change. So British GT was, and what I ended up doing with RJN. So at the time, it was Jenson Button's team
Yeah.
in a McLaren GT3 with Michael O'Brien. And it was really good, man. It was like,
I was there.
you were there. You
I
were in
was
the Mustang, weren't you?
In the Mustang.
Yeah.
And I remember we were
Were
practicing.
you racing that year?
It was
Was it the year
Porsche
after?
Carrera
What year
Cup,
was
mate,
it?
2020.
Because you raced.
2020, I was
Ginetta.
I was 17. Yeah, I was in Ginetta Super Cup.
How old are you?
22 now.
He,
wow.
he
I
looks
know
25.
I look like I'm older than both of you.
But yeah, it was British GT, and I remember we were in the garage, we're testing, and there was this talk of a gamer, and
Gamer nerd.
a gamer in it, and there was obviously like motorsport's quite old school. There's a lot of old school people, and we were discussing like people like, I wonder where we'll end up, and it comes qualifying and you're fighting for pole.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And you got your lap time deleted. But
That's right, yeah.
in the garage, everyone's thinking, where's this kid come from? Like from his sim. And he's all of a sudden fighting at the front. And so that must have been crazy, that whole time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. There wasn't really much build up. It was like, I think in GT Academy days with Jan, there was like a stepping stone to GT4 and then GT3. But with me, there wasn't too much money to go around. So I think they just went straight GT3 just to use all the budget in the best way. And yeah, it was good, man. I mean, I was surprised at the pace. Obviously I was driving my best, but I didn't expect it to be very comparable to, say, other silvers. But it was straight away, it was there. And it went well, yeah. I mean, I had that track limit in Alton Park.
Turn one, yeah.
Turn one, yeah. But like I look back now at the onboards and I'm like, I'm not driving very well there. But like at the time, it was still good enough.
You barely had any driving though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I should probably expect
Or real
that.
world driving.
Yeah. I was doing a lot of bad habits from the sim. A lot of the inputs were a bit janky, and I wasn't really listening to the car, which you need to do in real life. I was driving it as if it had sim physics, which was a bit wrong. But the season itself was really good. I mean, it's worth saying as well, I was racing, the weaker silvers and the AMs in my sessions. So when you say pole, there was obviously the pro session after.
Still an
Still,
achievement,
mate.
though.
But you got to look, those other silvers, say in that first session,
Yeah.
they've been racing for years at that level.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, yeah, like I think I remember everyone was really blown away when you rocked up.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. You had a good year that year, though.
It was all right. Yeah, we had at the
You
start.
won a few races, I think, didn't you?
Were you
we won a
McLaren
race.
Junior? or
No,
what
that
at
was
point?
2018. I was a McLaren Junior. Yeah, but
But
the
I'm sure
Mustang
you
was a
did
good car.
Year in the BMW, right?
21.
Yeah, I
you did a
did
year. It was a
2021.
year
Didn't you,
after we did
dominate
it.
Yeah, we did. But the thing with British GT and any GT racing is it frustrated me to an extent. I think honestly, no, not throwing shade on like British GT or whatever or any GT championship, but it frustrated me because I think if I didn't win the championship that year, I think it would have been a bit of a waste of time, like career-wise, just because for me personally, I think the best thing you can do, if you can do it, if you can be racing, is to be in a single make sprint racing championship, because you can, unless like maybe you're under the eye. If you're in a junior program and BMW or McLaren or Aston Martin, they're watching you and watching your performance in comparison to their pros in that controlled environment of the team.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. But otherwise, everyone blames it on the BOP, which is balance of performance. So briefly to explain that to viewers that might not know what that is. Obviously, you've got different cars, BMWs, McLarens, Astons. They turn them up and down on power. They add weight to different cars to try and level off the field, because there's different tracks where the BMW is going to be better because it's quick in a straight line, slow in the corners just because it's so heavy and big and tall. And then you've got the McLaren, which they might turn down on the power and whatever it is. So that's how they kind of balance the performance. So whenever we got a good result, it was just a matter of, we had 2 drivers per car, semi-endurance races, like 2 to 3 hours, whatever. And the only reason we did well is because the car, people were constantly blaming the car, which is what annoyed me. It was like,
every time you won.
Oh, you got pole. Oh, it's the car. And like first weekend was like, yeah, fair enough, because we got pole by like half a second or something. But then after that, we had 1 pole position after that. And I, in my pro session, was like P4.
Right.
And like a second and a half off the top time at Spa. But I'd put in a big enough shift in my session and my teammate, and we were close enough in times, because they take an average time of you and your teammate.
Yeah.
He was like P1 in the, or P2 or P3 in the AMI session, if you know what I mean, the first session in qualifying, Q1.
Yeah.
And then Q2, I was like P5.
Yeah.
But everyone goes,
car,
it's the car, it's the whatever. It's like, no, I'm like a second and a half off where we should be.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, the reason why I didn't like the endurance racing world, unless you're under a junior program under the eye of a manufacturer, I think the best way to stand out is, if you're doing single seaters, is you've only got one option. I mean, everything is sprint racing and everything is one make.
Yeah.
But like you've got F4, F3, F2. That's how you stand out. And then if you've got the GT world, I think it's great to stand out in like Carrera Cup, or whether it's Ginettas or something like that. I don't know whether that's like a bit of a controversial opinion, but I feel like endurance racing is where you should end up. And the stage is sprint racing.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, most guys I've come across from Porsche Cup are rapid. So like, I think the level is definitely high on those grids. But are you both silver?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with sports car racing, GT racing. It's just so confusing for like a lot of viewers looking in.
It's confusing for me.
Yeah,
like, it's confusing for us.
Same. Yeah, you've got the gradings, you've got the BOP, you've got the like ballast of like, there are silver pairings. So they've got an extra 25 seconds in the pit stop. You've got all these things. It's like, how can a viewer really keep up with that?
Yeah. And I think we talk about this a lot, but you're a very key example on storytelling. For example, like, you're world's fastest gamer. There's been a real journey for you, and you've also documented it, which we'll get into. Yeah. Like, your YouTube channel has grown to, you got over 100,000 subscribers.
Doing all right, yeah.
It's doing really good.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, and what's been great about your success is you've been very open and honest through your career for people to get a real insight into what's actually going on. After that year of world's fastest gamer, you were very open, saying, it didn't turn into another season, and it just showing the real side of the sport. How when you win races, it doesn't mean you're going to get a seat the next year.
No, totally.
People just giving that perspective. So let's talk about that. Actually, you had that incredible year. First year in GTs, you're driving this McLaren GT3 out of nowhere. It's like madness. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the next year, there's no racing.
Yeah, I just think I'd not really thought too far ahead, because I was focusing so much. I got dropped into this situation. I was like, right, put every bit of energy into that. And when it came to the end of the season, I was like, right, I don't even know how this works. Like, honestly, because honestly, like, the world's fastest gamer thing was so good as a program. They took care of all the business and dealing with the team and paying the team. And if there was any crash damage, I think there was like one wing mirror that got knocked off. They paid for that. Donington, clipped the barrier. I don't know why they put the
Some wing
tar stacks
just
there,
fly.
man.
Yeah.
So dumb.
I've hit those a lot of times.
Yeah, and so I didn't really get an education as to how motorsport worked. I just got it was arrive and drive, which is really cool, but it's not really helpful for future years. And I was asking them throughout the season, how's it going? Will there be more? Because it was I think it said $1 million drive, but there's no way they spent $1 million. And I'm not being like ungrateful. I'm massively grateful for what they did spend, if they spent any money at all, but it wasn't the millions. So I thought, maybe they're going to put another bit of cash into next year. And they said throughout the season it's going well, we're not sure, just keep doing what you're doing and we'll discuss at the end of the year. And then came to the end of the year and it was pretty much like that was the end of communication, really. A lot of the guys that I dealt with in that program, the driver coaches and the person that ran it and stuff, as soon as the season ended, British GT, I don't think I really spoke to them again, to be honest. I tried reaching out and stuff, but that's just the way it went. So in 2021, I was like, maybe teams will knock on the door. Like maybe that's how it works. Like maybe I don't know, maybe get a free seat. I just had no clue as to how it really worked. So and then the season started, 2021, the season you did, and I was like, yeah, right. Well, I guess I'm not racing again then. So just went back into sim racing and tried to crack on there, really. So
Was it hard to go back? Like,
yes.
in my position, I'm not trying to answer the question for you, but I can imagine if I'd like grinded it out sim racing and I got this massive opportunity through the world's fastest gamer thing, gone and won it, then I'm like, I would be thinking in my head, kind of subconsciously, like I did the year I did Porsche Super Cup as well. Like or it's almost like you don't tell people this and you don't necessarily consciously think it, but subconsciously it's a bit like, I've made it, I'm here. Like, I'm performing well, I'm in a McLaren GT3 car.
It's hard not to.
All of a sudden, it's ripped away from you, and there's nothing the next year, despite how well you performed in that first season. Then going back, was it a bit of an ego damage / a complete high followed by like a massive low? I'm not saying sim racing is a bad thing to do, but
You're right,
I mean?
yeah. Because it's not as exhilarating driving a sim as it is a real car. So yeah, it was a low, yeah, definitely. Because I moved out. I moved out of my house, my parents' house that year and stuff as well. So it was a really stressful year, and it wasn't a great year in general, to be honest. Learning how it worked and the harsh realities of it and stuff. But I've always been quite a competitive person, so the sim, to be honest, gave me something to focus on. Competitions coming out, focusing on that. It was my way of living as well. So that never stopped throughout British GT season. I was doing F1 Esports and British GT at the same time. So I remember one week I did F1 Esports race week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I drove to Silverstone for British GT at the weekend. Just like,
Is that not really difficult?
mate, honestly, that completely it affected F1 more than British GT because I practiced more for British GT. If you see what I mean? I prioritised that mentally. But that's why my F1 Esports campaign in 2020 was awful. I was like, I think I finished like 17th.
The physics in that is so different. Sorry, the physics in that is so like. I'm not slamming F1 Esports. I think the guys in that are so regimented and they're unbelievably quick. They're unbelievably quick on that. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're quick on other sim stuff as well. But
yeah, there's a few guys that can transfer it to other sims as well.
Yeah, but the physics, like even watching, for instance, the new game that's come out, I'm watching I watched actually a bit.
Drifting,
I'm getting into it a bit, to be honest. Like, it is good to watch because of how competitive it is. But recently I watched, I think they were at Abu Dhabi and they had the final when Jarno Altmaier won the championship.
That's right, yeah.
But the way they drive it, and in this new game, I kept seeing clips coming up about how ridiculous the physics are, if you like. They like chuck so much steering lock on. And you can see the rear kind of comes round, but then there's so much lock on the front that it kind of comes back.
It's so weird, man. Yeah, it's always been weird. It's been different game to game, but it's been this like arcadey physics throughout.
Yeah.
But does that make it less like impressive if you're quick on it?
No,
I think it's still like a good skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
So and that was what I was building up to in my esports career. F1 Esports, that was like the pinnacle. But then when I got there, I had this British GT opportunity, which undoubtedly took away from it. So
how does Max Verstappen go for a world championship and sim race on the same evening?
It's wild.
How does he do that? Like, we were talking about it at lunch, and you've literally just touched on it. Your esports was affected when you had to, because for our racing as well, I mean, we're not in F1. No, but you'd agree, like when you get this opportunity to race, which can be rare. I've had the same where you try so hard to get on the grid, everything, all your attention is on that.
Yeah.
To then have the capacity to, in the same evening, go to a sim race or even the next day to start prepping.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? I mean, I think with Max, you know, I think if he was like full-time sim racer, he'd be
nuts.
top five or something, you know, he'd be like well up there. Obviously he's got Team Redline, his team, so he's got lots of sim racers working for him. So, you know, if he wants a setup or settings for a game, he can just get the best one straight away.
Yeah.
So it's worth saying that. He doesn't have to like grind on his own to find those setups and stuff.
That's fair, yeah.
But, you know, he does seem to just jump in without too much practice and be on it, which is pretty nuts. I think he's just like very adaptable as a driver, isn't he? I think you could chuck him in anything and he'd be like...
Do you think that's because of the sim?
Probably helps, yeah. Probably has taught him quite a lot about different driving styles, and you know, if you can be quick on iRacing, and then because I've raced him on R Factor 2 in the Le Mans series, he was quick in that as well. So if you can be quick on iRacing, R Factor, you know that person can just adapt to anything pretty much, like the way you use the front tires, the way you use the rear tires. Yes, and he just seems to be very open as well. Like, I'm gonna just learn how to drive that and be quick on that. And the other thing as well, so there was that one weekend, wasn't there, where he raced in a 24-hour sim race.
Imola, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right, Imola. So I suppose, you know, when at the time was the Red Bull the best car? I think it might have been.
It was last year. Lando was chasing him down.
Yeah.
I believe it was Imola, and then he still won it, but it was a small margin, yeah.
Right. So maybe if you're winning in F1, you probably have the capacity to then... But if he's not winning, then he's probably not going to do that because people get on his back. But
I bet he toned that down towards the end of last season
when it started to get crunch time.
Probably wasn't doing it in 21
because they started the year. Can you imagine
the evening of Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, mate. No way, no chance.
But you know, taking nothing away from the guy, like Jesus Christ, you know, you see those quotes, and you're like, he's the best driver in the world. He probably is.
Yeah,
he definitely is right now.
He definitely is. He definitely is. Also, what's good with the sim is you very much see like Redline, Team Redline. You do it a lot with streaming. You see the true emotion of the driver when things, you know, just shit hits the fan or when things are going well.
With a lot of sim races, lack of emotion. Just like same fate. Like they could be winning or crashing, and they'd be doing the same face, wouldn't they?
True. But there was a clip of him doing Daytona, and his teammate was sort of just giving a bit of shit. And also his teammate had a tiny incident, like a small incident, and Max was on him like, mate, what are you doing? Why did you do that? That could have lost us the race. So his level of wanting to win, and we've talked about it before, is at such a high level where that's why it just seems like people think he's a dick. He's not. He just wants to win that much and communicates in a different way. But
totally, yeah, he's an animal. He's so driven, isn't he, just to win everything he does, and he does so much driving. I mean, you know, I often say with my mates sometimes, like, you know, if you were an F1 driver, obviously it's very hard to relate to, but with I think one of the last things I probably would do is go home and then go on the sim. Like, you just probably want to break or not think about driving. But
it's his obsession though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he's obsessed with winning, and I think he genuinely thinks and has proven that doing sim, regardless of what car, what track, is massively beneficial to your real racing career.
Yeah. And
I think that's true. We were talking about this again earlier. I think that's true. Like someone like Lewis Hamilton hates the sim.
Yeah.
And he's like openly admitted like when he was at Mercedes, he never went on it.
Yeah.
Maybe once or twice if they needed him to test the setup for the next race or whatever, but he personally hated it for a training point of view because I think if you grow up sim racing, it's the right way to do it. Like if you sim race and then race or do them alongside each other, the sim does take some adapting to get used to. Like I remember because I started racing before I ever had a sim.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to do that. And then when I was 15, I had my first session at iZone. I've now been there for years.
Oh yeah, Silverstone.
Yeah. But I had my first session there and I hated it. And my dad thought it was great and I didn't like it because I was like, I got on it and I thought I was the absolute bollocks. Got on it, kept spinning, crashing, or just making mistakes, and I couldn't get a feeling for it because you don't have the through the seat feeling.
No.
And you have to adapt it. You don't feel it through G-force. Like the first thing you feel when the rear starts to go in a real car, is through the seat, through your bum, basically. On the sim, it's through the wheel and for what your eyes see.
Yeah.
So that was Lewis's argument, but I think it's because he's gone from years of racing real cars, and his mentality was like, well, if I have to adapt to drive the sim, it can't be helping my real driving. If anything, it's making it worse. But then Max is the complete counter argument for that.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely helps. I mean, every driver on the way up now uses a sim. I think like that. You'd be I don't think
Antonelli and stuff.
Whenever
his name popped up on iRacing, he'd pole it straight away. Like,
Mate,
super quick.
Sebastian Job, just to touch on him briefly. Did you see the Red Bull thing?
Driving an F1 car.
That was amazing.
I watched all of it last night. I'd seen clips of it and stuff like that, but I hadn't actually taken the time to look through the whole thing. But let alone the Formula One car, but to just hop in a Porsche, like the Cup car, not only is it hard to drive, it's really difficult to just hop in and be quick because it's so different. Like there's no weight at the front, all the weight to the rear, no ABS, no traction control, really easy to lock a brake. And he ended the day after one day in the car, having never ever driven on track before, I'm pretty sure.
I think he's driven on track in
Formula Ford
and a few things, but point taken.
Polar opposites. And he got in. By the end of the day, I think he was like within top 5 of what race pace would have been, and within half a second of James Wallace, the Porsche GB Junior.
It's nuts, isn't it?
And then he gets in the F1 car, and by the end of that day, that second day where he'd done F4, the 500 horsepower, what do they call it? Formula
Renault 3.5.
Yeah, the 3.5, which is like kind of in between F3 and F2.
Yeah.
And then he hopped in the F1 car, and by the end of the day, he was only a second off the reference time. But okay, I'm not taking away from him. It was an easier track to do it at. It was Austria, but and I'm only saying that because there's lots of runoff, so you can afford to make a mistake, lock up, go off, and you won't hit a wall or anything like that. But that being said, it's ridiculous. Like if he was actually, that's what they said on they put on the screen, the reference time from their like test driver, who's a professional driver that did race in Formula One, got like a 1:16.6 or 1:16.7 or something, and he got a 1:17.7 or 1:17.8, which is just nuts, ridiculous.
Yeah. No, the talent in sim racing is just crazy. You know, people that don't have the budget to even sit in a race car, just, you know, sitting there refining their skills, entering competitions, who end up making a living from esports, and then very occasionally, and you know, in Seb's case, getting a chance in a real car. And I don't think the only thing that would get in the way of any top sim racer being really good in a car is fitness. Like if they were an absolute physical wreck, then that would obviously be a problem in a race car, wouldn't it? But if they're physically fit, and I think Seb trains with the Red Bull Esports team and stuff, so he's in decent shape. Mm-hmm. If they're in decent shape and they're not scared of actual speed, then it's a given they're going to be really good in a real car. Like there'd be no reason for that not to be the case, because the skills are 95% transferable.
Yeah, what I noticed was actually his process of his build of performance. For example, at Sneston in the Porsche with his engineer, he was spinning and, you know, a few mistakes, which is expected. But the way he listened to his engineer, he was listening to everything they were saying.
Yeah.
And you could see he was just improving all the time. So the level of focus you need to get to one of the, you know, the top 0.1% we talk about in sim racing.
Yeah.
The amount of attention to detail and focus you need. Of course, you could, if you apply it to a car, at some point you will be.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, sim racing is so analytical as well. You know, we're using the same data softwares, Motec and stuff, and looking at the same traces, and you have to be at the top level, because you can't see everything with the naked eye. So when you go to a real racing situation, I mean, I've personally found that, like, it's not easier. Like I suppose the level is a bit easier, to be honest. Like there's definitely, like in a top sim racing grid in an esports competition, every driver's like shit hot, like really, really good. Like everyone's within a couple of tenths. But then you go to like a GT World Challenge, and the top guys are really good, like unbelievable. but then that soon tails off. Like the level definitely tails off. So if you have a bad quali lap, it's still not too far down the grid. Whereas if you had a bad quali lap in sim racing, you'd be last.
Yeah,
So I've got you. Where do you feel the world of esports is going? Because we started a brand called Facetti, which is helping drivers get into racing. But we found a lot of people actually want to become an esports driver and don't have the desire to get into a real car as well, and also become content creators. Like there's a big space for Twitch streaming, etc. in the gaming world. Where do you feel, because it's a massively growing market, where do you feel it's going in the future? Because there's been big competitions like Ren Sport, etc., with big prize money. Do you feel that's going to continue?
I don't know. I think sim racing's in a really weird space where like sim racing as a hobby is probably never been more popular. Like every other bloke seems to have a rig these days.
Yeah.
Or woman. No, I didn't mean to say bloke. Like
I wouldn't say women have a rig.
Clip that. The way we see it, the research the barrier to entry gets lower over time, I think, in terms of the sim equipment's getting a bit cheaper. Like direct drive, for example, used to be like the ones at iZone, over £1,000.
Yeah, a couple grand.
Yeah, not long ago.
You can get one for like £400 now, can't you?
So I mean, so
yeah, as a hobby, it's definitely more popular, which is good. But I think the competitive scene or the competitive side of it is, I don't know. I don't know if it's like losing popularity or maybe it never. Like F1 esports has got an audience and it's quite popular, but everything else doesn't seem to have that much of an audience.
What, you reckon it's dying out in the top level?
I don't know if it's dying out. It's probably a bit strong, but it's definitely on a slight downward trajectory since COVID.
Plateaued.
In COVID, it was nuts. Like obviously everyone was stuck at home and they needed something to watch. So I think that's why the numbers were so big. But since then, it's been slowly tailing off. As I say, F1 esports has still got a pretty big audience, so that's fine. Everything else doesn't have a big audience. So I don't know how entertaining people find competitive sim racing. I mean, I do it and I don't watch that many competitive sim races just because it is so close.
Yeah,
there's not much overtaking. The person who qualifies on pole is probably going to win the race because everyone's so good that they can convert pole to win. So I mean, what about you boys? I mean, have you ever watched a competitive
watched F1? Yeah,
yeah.
F1, yeah.
F1's good because they do the storylines quite. You seem to like
more storytelling.
Yeah, you know the drivers a bit more, and they do they tell the stories of each driver quite well.
I think realistically, I mean, there's some people out there that have said to me that, I think one day esports is going to be as popular as watching real racing, and it just never will for me because logically, the part of the reason
I agree.
Whether we admit it or not, part of the reason we love watching, whether it's Formula One, whether it's Rallycross, whether it's Porsche Carrera Cup, whatever. One is because there's danger involved and there's genuine consequence. There's massive expense if you crash the car. Your life is at risk, and people do watch racing in hopes for a bit of drama. Like they're not necessarily hoping for people to get hurt or anything like that, but they're hoping for a crash to mix things up, or if Verstappen's leading the race, a puncher would make it really interesting, or that's why people watch it. But the problem with esports is that if they have a crash, okay, yes, the consequences in the championship, but that's it. They don't have to. There's no team that's going to be making headlines that they've been dropped immediately, or crash damage, or they're not putting their lives on the line, and they're not. Although they're performing at an elite level, I mean, if you look at some of these boys that do, no offense to them, but if you look at some of these boys, you do like the fitness level and stuff, they're not at the best fitness level because they are just, the long and the short of it, they're playing a computer game.
Yeah, and they're putting every hour of their day into that computer game.
And there's no variables. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. To be honest, that was my undoing as a esports driver. That was the worst thing about me as an esports driver, was the ability to grind hours and hours and hours on the same conditions and just perfect it and get those final hundredths or a tenth.
Yeah.
My brain just doesn't allow me to do it. After like 2 or 3 hours, I just get worse and get bored and just can't go through that. Whereas some drivers just seem to be able to do that for hours and hours and hours and just chip away hundredth by hundredth, and they just get to this like insane pace. So yeah, that's them. I think with myself, it was more my adaptability was my strong point. So like you said, the variables, if there was a series that had a lot of variables like wet weather, overtaking, slipstream was quite high, for example. So racecraft came into it, traffic management, changing grip levels. That's where I was stronger because you could, that. Yeah, that's where I was able to sort of make up that difference, if you see what I mean. If it was the same grip and, dry track, go out and qualify, and you can have all the hours in the world to practice leading up to that event, I'd probably be, a tenth and a bit off because I just can't grind through that. I can't grind an insane amount of hours.
What did a training session look like for you? Because I think a lot of people think that esports and sim racing is just sit on the sim for 8 hours, do a million laps, and then hop off, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like that for me. I mean, I think it is different depending on who you're talking about. But with me, it'd be, a couple of hours in the morning, try and, learn what I can, have a break, 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. If it was a really sweaty day, do an hour in the evening. But that would be, I'd try and break it up as well. If I'm on the rig for more than 2 or 3 hours, I just can't get any quicker.
Would you run drills, or would you just do literally just thrash around for 2 hours?
No, you'd be quite tactical about it. I think with me, I'd probably start with raw pace because it's the most important thing. So learn the track, learn the car, get qualifying as good as you can get it for now. Then I'd start to tail off and look at other things like race pace. What would the tyre drop off be? Do I need to run different brake bias and stuff for the race than I do in quali? Then all the bits around the speed, so like race start, pit entries, pit exits, racecraft, what's the car like in dirty air, and all those bits around sort of speed.
Like a checklist almost.
Yeah, everything that's going to contribute to your race time, I would cover, and then I'd probably go back and focus on raw pace at the end, because at that point I know I've done everything else. I just need to get maybe another tenth or two, and then come race day I'd be pretty well prepped. So yeah. Oh, and for the endurance races like Virtual Le Mans, there was more to it as well. Strategy and fuel saving and wet weather, stuff like that. So,
and then just coming back to like your year at racing a car, and then I know you've done kind of bits and bobs since, but what has been your strategy, and what was that feeling like how do I get back in a car? What did you create a plan? Was it like, right, because you were thrown right in the deep end, because we all learned through our career once, like when I started racing cars at 14, Ford Fiestas and stuff, you slowly learn the world of trying to get sponsorship and trying to get funding and maybe trying to get on a junior program or whatever. But you were just thrown, here's a free drive for the whole year in GT3.
Yeah.
Oh, here's nothing. So how and what did you do to try and get yourself back in cars?
So 21 happened, and it just was a year of trying to figure out what just happened and how do I even begin to get back on a grid. There were a few people that sort of recognised I was struggling and helped. People I knew, people who work in fairly big businesses that, again, that were just, I knew them and they saw my situation. They wanted to say, how's it going? Can we help? Can we help you find a sponsor, or how much money do you need to get back on a grid? It's worth saying as well, Chris Buncombe, who you're probably both familiar with, he helped quite a lot with that. Just, I suppose, educated me on how motorsport worked, connected me with teams because I had no contacts really apart from RJN. And so eventually in 22, I managed to find a sponsor that would pay for one race, which is the Spa 24. And that was the way I got back onto a grid, was, through a connection, meeting a potential sponsor, hosting them at Donington, British GT, learning that side of it as well. I mean, I've never done all that before, hosting a potential sponsor and all that goes with that. And, it was just a massive learning process, really. And then I got back on a grid in 22 and it sort of went from there.
Spa 24 hour.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Big race.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. So I remember, they had the prologue before the race. I'd not been in any car apart from my road car for I think it was coming up to 2 years. And I was just absolutely cacking myself. Just back at Spa as well. It's such an unforgiving track, with Eau Rouge and in a GT3, it's just flat. So you have to really build up to it. And it's a big, heavy car going up Eau Rouge, easy to have a massive shunt. And at the time as well, I was made aware of the crash damage situation. Whereas in World's Fastest Gamer, British GT days, I never got told about all that. So I was just sort of blind to it. So I could just go out and drive. So that was a massive learning curve. Again, that's the thing when you're out of a car for so long, you just never fully maximize what
Yeah.
you've got, because you spend half the time getting rid of the cobwebs and getting up to speed and understanding things. And you guys know you don't get much track time at all. So I did an okay job in 2022 at Spa, but I came away from it thinking, wow, my fitness is rubbish, first of all. Yeah. I suffered from motion sickness.
Really?
Which I didn't realize at the time, but I found out last year when I did Spa again. But that I fell foul of that in 22.
Even though you're driving, obviously.
It was just when the safety car comes out.
I get that
motion.
though.
Yeah, okay.
So when you're braking and weaving, it just came on, and I found it happened once in British GT as well, but I found every excuse to figure out what it was. So with British GT, I thought, I didn't eat before the race. Must have been that.
Yeah.
And 22, I was like, I think my earpiece wasn't in my head properly, so it was making me feel queasy. Must have been that.
Just a tiny thing, yeah.
But it wasn't any of that. It was motion sickness. But I didn't find out until Spa last year. But yeah, Spa 22, I got in the car and the safety car came out at the beginning of the stint, and I had to do a 2-hour stint with that queasiness. And it was rough, mate. Honestly, one of the worst experiences of my life. And I should, you'd think it'd be the opposite.
Racing at Spa, you think, it's amazing.
Hated it.
Living the dream.
Man, it was so rough. And then I came out and we were still in the race. I think we were a couple of laps down, but I think we were like 10th in class, Silver Cup. And then I went to sleep, woke up, and we'd retired. So, yeah.
Spa is a scary place. I remember first time going there, I don't know about you, but walking into the gate, and all of a sudden, this place is huge.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And you see you see through the trees this massive place like that.
Yeah.
The viewers that have never been to Spa,
Get there.
especially when you know you're going to drive the track. When you rock up for the first time, okay, you can see the Eau Rouge is up a hill on the camera. When you see it in real life, it's like a ski slope.
It's a scary place.
Yeah.
Brands Hatch is a little bit like that as well, T1. When I first saw that, I was like,
Doesn't quite give me the same vibe though.
probably
it's
not,
true
yeah.
though. If you when you watch also as a spectator, the incline is ridiculous. It's Paddock Hill, Brands.
Yeah.
But Eau Rouge, I remember the feeling going through that for the first time. You go as soon as you approach the first apex, a curb on a left. It's so downhill, it feels like you're accelerating. So you want to back out,
yeah.
But then as soon as you hit the compression, you see the sky.
I'm the same. I remember my first time through there, and I was just like, what is
going
going on? Yeah.
How long did it take you?
I was fully lifting as well, and I was just like, what?
How long did it take you to go flat there? Because it's only just flat in the GT3, isn't it?
Yeah. I think I was flat probably by lap 5 or 6. Yeah, probably lap 5 or 6. I did a 2-lap stint before lunch, and obviously I lifted both times quite extensively to get my bearings. And then in the afternoon I went in, and I think by lap 3 or 4 on that stint I did it flat.
Like I can't fathom you were the first race back as Spa 24. This is like one of the biggest races in the world.
No way, yeah,
You've
it's not
got
good.
factory Mercedes, BMW drivers literally around you. I don't know how you do that. Honestly,
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You must have.
And
been
you've only
shitting
had one
yourself.
season.
Yeah, I didn't really have much else of a choice. Do you know what I mean? It's like either do that or don't race at all. You know.
True. Yeah, you take every opportunity you can.
Yeah.
It's weird about the motion sickness because I get that as well. Under the safety car, as soon as it comes in though, and we're racing again, it's gone for me.
Really? Okay.
I don't continue to I don't get it when I'm driving normally, but the problem is, especially if you're at a really I was racing at Miami. I remember not feeling amazing that weekend anyway, and then we get to the 40-minute races in the cup car with no aircon, no fan, suit, everything. It's 60 something degrees in the car. It's 30 degrees and humid outside. So you do have a fan that's blowing really hot air at you all the time. But I just remember the safety car came out, and because you're so focused when you're racing, you don't think about yourself really. You don't think, I'm really hot, or I'm really tired, or I'm well hot. Might be too hot.
Got some aircon.
And then the safety car comes out, and all of a sudden your brain is just completely relaxed because you're like, I'm not driving at 100 miles an hour anymore. And you're having to weave all as well to keep pressures up and to keep temps up.
That's it. The weaving and the braking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember feeling so awful.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I then feel crap for the following, however's left of the stint, and then I usually feel pretty rough for a few hours after. It's just so bad. I have to literally take 2 motion sickness tablets every time I get in the car. So if there's a test day, I do 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. If there's a run late in the afternoon, I'll do another 2 as well.
Usually it's for the sim people have motion sickness
Yeah.
or VR.
Yeah,
or
it's weird,
something.
isn't it?
Weird,
Yeah,
you've
so
got
strange.
nothing on the sim.
No, even with VR, feel
Really?
fine.
I find VR gives me a
I haven't
bit.
tried
But my
it for a while.
girlfriend in the road car, if she's like in the passenger seat on her phone, she'll get really motion sick. But I don't get that. So it's only in a race car, only when weaving or braking.
Did you find braking? You actually did a good video recently on the difference between sim racing, braking, and reality. Was that the most physical part in the GT3, the high brake pressures?
Yeah, initially, yeah. I did the first time I drove a GT3 was at Paul Ricard for the GT World Challenge Prologue.
Right.
And I couldn't get the peak pressure in T1. I think it was like 110 bar. I could only get like 70 or 80. So that was obviously holding me back. But then...
Even hitting it as hard as you could?
Yeah, mate. I know I'm
not calling you a pussy.
No. But I'm pretty lanky and skinny, but back then I was a skeleton.
Right.
Just had no muscle or anything. So, yeah. So after that, I did a bit of training. It was fine. Yeah. So
Yeah, just built up a massive left leg.
like when I was 22, I was nothing like you. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit of a late boomer.
I'm
to be
top
honest.
heavy though. My legs are lanky.
I was
long.
really skinny
Yeah.
a few years back, and I put on 20 kg. I don't know why I brought that up. It's just therapy. But anyway.
Just venting.
Yeah.
So what's happening? Sorry, what's happening now for you? Anything in the real world, on the esports world? What's happening?
So I'll probably start with the real world because in my eyes, that's probably the priority. So after last year went quite well, unexpected, got a GT World Challenge drive for 3 of the 5 rounds. And yeah, they just got progressively better. So the last one in Jeddah went really well. Thought I'd get some momentum from that to find some sponsorship to get a seat basically. I have a better idea of how it all works now. So I know that I need to approach teams and get rough budgets and you sort of,
Work from there,
find a sponsor and then pay for that seat and then go racing. And I got some good deals. Like there were some really good deals. I got offered seats in a pro lineup, which I've never been offered before, which is like, I know a lot of drivers pay for their seats, but you guys will know, like not everyone would get the opportunity to be in a pro lineup. So I was quite happy with that. Decent, like it was obviously a lot of money, but quite discounted rates as well. So I was like, right, this seems achievable to go and get a sponsor, but I just couldn't get one. So over the winter, I tried. There were some good conversations and some good leads, but I couldn't quite get the budget I needed to race for a full campaign. So yeah, at the minute there's no racing planned, but stuff pops up.
Yeah.
So I found that last year, drivers drop out. I'm a silver graded driver. If there's a team out there that likes what they see and they need a silver last minute, I'm there, sort of thing. Not ideal, obviously. You'd like to go racing like a lot of other drivers do. Get your seat early on. You can prepare for it, do a full season, whatever. But it's just not how it is at the minute. And then sim racing wise, I left Mercedes at the beginning of the year, so I'm not with an esports team at the minute. Bit of a weird situation I'm in, to be honest, because like I left Mercedes and I didn't want to join another team because I wanted to focus on real racing, but now real racing's not come off. I'm sort of stuck in no man's land. I could join a team tomorrow, an esports team, but I'm not sure what the right next step is. So I'm
Sorry, I was gonna ask why leave Mercedes?
Their program they were solely focusing on F1 esports in the end.
Okay,
and I wasn't doing F1 esports.
Why not? Why didn't you want to go back to that?
Didn't want to drift all the time.
Didn't want 180 degrees of lock every corner.
After 2020, I just didn't want to do it anymore. It was so sweaty. All the guys that were doing it are really young, like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And I just feel a bit too old. And if you're doing that, you really have to focus on that and nothing else. And I just didn't want to just focus on that. I wanted to do other stuff. So now I'm doing coaching, sim coaching, YouTube, Twitch.
Can you not leverage the YouTube, like your big following, into a sponsorship deal? Like
trying,
but
borrow money against it.
Yeah, but I've
Just get a loan of £1 million.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, well, sorry to cut you off, but like it's a question I had for you because I've been, I said not offered, I found sponsors that would have sponsored me had I had a bigger following. Like, they're like,
Right,
yeah, we
okay.
like you, we see the value, yeah, we'd like the whole car wrap, and we're willing to put a few 100,000 towards this. Oh, you've only got 4,000 followers on Instagram, or you've only got, podcast has only got this amount right now. And I'm like, yeah, but it will go places. Like, this is the amount of views we've got at the moment, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, we just want someone that has 200k followers.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know people with 200k followers as well that have like 200 likes, 500 likes a post. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, why? Because I think a lot of viewers would think that once you get 100,000 subscribers or something, it must be really easy to say to a sponsor, offer them a place on a race car, some hospitality, and by the way, I've got 100,000 subscribers and these are how many views I get a month. Sponsor some of my episodes as well, thrown into the sponsorship package. Has that not worked?
Not almost. I mean, I've got people helping me. I've got, my partner, she helps me with all this stuff. She used to work in a corporate company and she helps with like building the decks and approaching these companies and pitching it to them and stuff. I've got other people connecting me with other people and stuff. So there's a little system in place. And as I say, we had good chats with people and got, I think, quite close. But it's just a lot of money you have to ask for, It's like 6 figures, which is just a lot of money. And I think my audience is, you could say it's pretty good, right? But it's not, say if I had 1 million subs, maybe I have a stronger chance.
Probably fund yourself then.
Maybe, yeah. But, I think I'm in a weird spot where my audience is okay, but I'm asking for quite a lot, so I just haven't got quite enough audience to make that work. There's no doubt I probably could be doing a better job to find sponsorship, but at the end of the day, I'm sort of doing the best I can, and that's sort of it. So, yeah.
It's a big learning process because it's so many sponsors like when you approach that want different things as well. So it's like, one might just do it because they love, they have a relationship with you or whatever. And some is like, right, I really need to make this money back. It's just people work different, don't they? You're going through that process.
A lot of the time it's just because they like you and they have the money and they like motorsport.
Maybe they just don't like me.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
You are
just an arsehole.
Maybe
you are a dick. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I need. Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, how's your sponsorship hunt going?
Good at the moment.
Yeah,
but I've got what I do have behind me is a fantastic like support network for that. So it's not just they put me in front of people, and once that happens, like so much for me, 50% of the job is getting in front of someone. And I've got so many different levels now of what I can offer them from 12,000 to 2 million, like whatever it is.
Right. So you can get like
literally, like it's not one size fits all. It's literally like if you're a small family business and you've got 10 grand, 12 grand to throw at something, you can come to hospitality for a Formula One race, and then you can also come to some networking events.
Oh yeah, because you're doing Porsche Super Cup.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so no, it's going really well, but also like stuff happened so last minute, like you said. Like I wasn't doing. I'd signed up for Super Cup and I'm literally was just scraping by, and now we've got someone on board that's gonna allow me to do a lot more track time and another championship as well.
That's good.
So these things, they come up last minute. And like I just say to any viewer that like wants to try and fork their way into racing or is trying to get sponsorship, it's just like it is soul destroying.
Yeah,
but
you need a support network.
One day it will pull off. Like I think it's always just before. It's like the gambling saying like 98% of gamblers fail before their big win. it's a bit like that. Like lots of people quit because they try it for 2 or 3 months. They have multiple meetings. They travel to see these people. They seem really interested, and it ends up being one massive waste of time. And it only takes one person with a business that likes you, they like racing, to go, here's a few 100,000, here's 10,000, here's whatever it is, here's 1 million, whatever, to go and like live your dream.
Yeah.
So it depends how serious you are about it. And we spoke about this with Enzo as well, who's fantastic. Like Enzo Mucci, he's he coached or still coaches, at least mental coach Liam Lawson and Ollie Behrman and multiple kids in single seaters mainly. But he grew up like no money, no support from family financially. And he was just like buying and selling stuff, trying to get a sponsor here and there for like, and most of the time it's not getting what people make the mistake, if it's not one sponsor for whether it's 3 million to do F2 or whether it's like 20,000 to do Mazda MX-5s, it's not one sponsor. It's like with Mazda MX-5s, you think, okay, I need 20 people to give me $1,000. I think like that's the best way to go about getting 20 grand, not going, oh, throw 20 grand at this, and they're like, but where's the value? And you're like, yeah, fair enough. do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you're racing on Formula One weekends, which like Porsche Super Cup, I find is a much easier and more valuable thing to sponsor. Than something like that.
That's why we did Spa 24 and 22, because it was the only race that was big enough to really get any value back for a sponsor.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that we talk about it sometimes. There's so much attention in Formula One. Do you feel there could be so much more being done on the media side outside of F1? Because if you think about it, like if you go into a Mazda paddock or something, Mazda MX-5s can be great racing. There's some amazing stuff in America. There's some incredible personalities that aren't being shown.
Yeah.
I feel that's such a huge... it's being missed massively. So I think it's so hard to get sponsorship on the route to F1 or route to GTs, Le Mans, because there's not enough eyes outside of...
It's all at the top, isn't it?
It's all at the top.
I think racing forces you to suppress your personality anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you can come... We asked James in our really early days, literally like first guest, you were supposed to be.
Yeah.
In the early days to come on, and you weren't allowed because you were with Mercedes, and because we weren't an established, we hadn't even uploaded anything, they were like, no, basically.
Oh mate, it's nuts. That was probably the biggest team I was in, and it's very corporate. There's layers of security before any piece of content goes out live. God forbid, swearing and stuff's not even allowed. Don't even think about that. Or it's very as you say, it can sort of take the personality out of it a little bit. Which
it can ruin your career if you're too...
Yeah,
like, obviously, don't be outrageous, but have a personality. Don't punch drivers or whatever. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, it should... People want to see drivers going at it. They want to see an argument after a race. They want drivers to actually have some rivalry. Yeah. And in the interview, they want them to go... Oh, I hate Verstappen. He's such a knob. Whatever.
That's why I like your podcast, because like you're slightly unhinged. Like you just sort of,
we're unhinged.
We're honest.
Exactly.
We like to be real.
Yeah,
but it's frustrating after, like, for example, in F1. Are you watching F1 this year?
Yeah.
So after the race, Lando and Piastri are like, Max did a really good job. I want them to be like, I'm just like so annoyed we didn't win that. You know what I mean? Like, be real. Like, you don't have to, like Gus said, you don't have to talk shit about the other person too much and be, outrageous, but say what you think a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that it would help, and especially outside of F1. But we'll see what happens. Again, like that rivalry between Russell and
Verstappen, that was good, wasn't it?
It's good.
Yeah,
it's real. It's what it's what they're actually thinking.
Yeah, other series apart from F1, just maybe WEC's decent at it as well, but
NASCAR,
punching each other.
Formula E, maybe, I don't know.
Formula E.
Have you seen the celebrity stuff they're doing at the moment?
Yeah.
Mr. Beast
lobbed it in the wall.
I saw that.
Yeah, you see what they're doing, trying to get more viewership.
Yeah,
but it's it needs to be done for sure. Just show the real side of things.
Yeah, I think you're right. If the love could be shared a bit more across all the series, great. But I just don't think that's how it works, is it?
Yeah.
And then coming to Big Juicy Verstappen. You've obviously raced against him.
Big Juicy Verstappen
or Big Juicy Baldwin. You're on the. You've had races against Verstappen. Obviously, he's like an absolute robot, basically. Anything he does...
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Anything he does that involves cars, whether it's virtually real, is unbelievable. What do you make of this whole Red Bull situation that's going on at the moment? Like Liam Lawson being dropped after 2 races.
Yeah.
Sonoda hopping in. Is Max just an alien, or is that car just impossible for anyone else to drive apart from Max? Or both?
It's probably a mixture of a few things, isn't it? But I think he is undoubtedly like an alien. I think he is quicker than probably everyone else on the grid.
I agree.
No doubt. Dry, wet, whatever situation, he probably is quicker. but the gaps to the teammates are nuts. Like a second or a second and a half off. You know, Lawson could be a second off or a second and a half off, or Perez last year at points was around that as well, wasn't he?
Now people are saying Perez is the GOAT again.
Yeah, because he was only 6/10 off or whatever it was. Yeah. So I don't know if the gaps. I don't know. I feel like maybe, as you say, the car is fully set up around his driving style. I don't know his driving style, but everyone says he likes it quite pointy, doesn't he? So he probably can drive a very rear limited car very fast, which is tough, isn't it? Because you haven't got rear grip to rely on, so you have to be super sensitive with your inputs and stuff. Whereas other guys, maybe just, you know, because it's so ruthless, the balance of the car, the gaps just fall off.
Just a tiny window, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. So they look worse than they are. But don't know. It's a weird one.
It's with Max.
I wouldn't want to be the second driver though. Jeez, imagine how rough Lawson's year's been so far.
Yeah, mate. Well, imagine
he's probably happy he's out.
We talked about your high to low, going from like being in McLaren GT3 and then all of a sudden nothing. Like, can you imagine? Lawson's just been promoted to Red Bull, which has been his dream, being in the Red Bull program. Like he's grinded so hard because he didn't have the financials and whatever growing up either.
But even in the evenings, like when he just hops on social media and he just get like
just getting
he must have turned it off.
Yeah, 100%. Like Jesus Christ.
Do you think if Verstappen got in Piastri's McLaren and went against Norris, that he would have the same gap to his teammate?
No, I don't think so. No, I think a big part of it will be the car and the balance and that sort of stuff. But I think he would undoubtedly hop into any team and be quicker than the teammate, if not after a race, definitely after a couple of races. You know.
Yeah, he's the most. If you look at his background, the way he was raised, he's one of the most ever like fine-tuned. He's built for it. Like,
and even his career, like he got the opportunity super early. He could make mistakes without really worrying about his seat ever being in jeopardy. So he had the crashes and stuff, and he learned the hard way and whatever. And he's just so like well-rounded now, isn't he?
Yeah, I remember turning on the TV. It was Spa, and this kid was leading, and the commentator's like, "Oh, Max Verstappen, first ever year in cars, 16." Alien. Anyway, should we do
the BBC?
the BBC?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the BBC challenge?
No.
So
Basically, we get all our guests to have a go on it, and
Oh wait.
it's the. I'm not going to bring a man out from around the corner. It's the backseat drivers bop it challenge.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, so when you said we'll use that later earlier,
I was talking about the BBC we're going to use on you.
the BBC.
Yeah.
So you got to twist it a bit. You got to pull it a bit. You got to press it.
Oh, okay.
So you get one practice. One. You get one practice run.
What do I do?
Oh,
Touch
sorry.
it. Pick it up.
Get it. That's it.
You don't leave it on the
That's
desk.
it.
So you get a practice run, and then it's quali, and that's it.
Oh man, it's been years.
What?
Yeah,
How do I turn it on?
You got to pull it.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go, and then press the BBC.
The BBC.
Yeah.
Pop it.
Oh, right, yeah.
Interesting bop it there.
You don't have to do it on the beat.
Oh, you distracted me.
Okay, you don't do it on the. I just didn't want you to do it on the beat because it's just how quickly you can do it because it speeds up.
Wait, what do you mean?
So you're doing it like on the beat. I'm just making sure you don't think that's how it's supposed to be done.
Right, how do you want
You're
me to
like
do it?
bop it.
You
don't need to do
punch
that.
it with your fist either. You can just.
Yeah,
So I need to do this as quick as possible.
yeah.
obviously.
Just whatever it says, just do it,
All right, okay.
and then it speeds up.
Pull.
Pull. This is quali now. This is it. Top score's 69.
Bop it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, I'm rubbish. That was awful, wasn't it?
I think because should we give another practice?
Let's give it
one more.
one
go.
more.
one.
Yeah, because
One more.
we interrupted.
What's the lowest score? It is 3. Scott's game face on now. 5.
Mate, you're the world's fastest gamer. And you've got 5 on Bop It.
It doesn't like the BBC.
Not for me.
Right.
On that note,
Damn it.
I think we're done.
I think we're done. Thank you, Mr. Baldwin, for coming today.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time and sharing your story. And
Hope you get on the grid this year, darling.
yeah, fingers crossed for you, mate.
If not this year, maybe next year.
Fabulous.
Cheers, boys.
Love you so much.